Kendrick Bourne from the San Francisco 49ers. You're watching the Niners All Day Show. What up, Bronze? What up, Dre? Let's get it, man. Yee!
Oh, yo, what's up? This is your boy Bronze. Got my boy, Fran 49er, Jason Ponte.
What's up?
Sunday. I'm
Flexing.
buzzed. I didn't eat. What's up, guys? This is Niners All Day Show. Thanks for dropping in. If you haven't liked us or subscribed, be sure to do that. Shout out to all our Patreon members. And it's Sunday. We got a couple more days, a couple more weeks. Seems closer and closer, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
it really
man.
does. Yeah, it really does, man.
It's happening. It feels like Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once again, we're gonna bring in Grant Cohn.
There he is.
Yo, that was one hell of an intro. Damn, Bronze. They gotta be paying you for that, dude. That was nice. My intro is like a dude playing the kazoo. It's so annoying.
Oh, I love your intro. Your intro and your outro.
Grant, that person who made that meme about you doing the videos outside, and it was like what is it? I took a picture of your mama, but it didn't print out till Christmas, and then it just cuts to the end of your, like, that's hilarious, man. Like people have so much fun with that.
Oh man, I don't think I've seen that. You got to send me that.
No, I think you did. I thought you retweeted it. So what it says is it's you doing the video, and then the bottom says your mama's so fat I took a picture and it didn't print out until Christmas. Yeah, and then it just cuts Cohn zone.
Man. Yeah. So what we talking about today?
People are awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. So today we're gonna do a new format. Basically, I'm gonna bring up the topics of what we're talking about, and then Bronze is gonna go through and call the people that he wants to go in order. Everybody's gonna get a chance to talk. Everybody's gonna get a chance to say their spiel. Shout out to all of the Patreon members and everybody who support Niners all day. We really appreciate you guys. Shout out to Grant Cohn and Jason for coming on, man, and making this content so much more better. The response has been crazy. The people are really loving it, man, and we deeply appreciate you guys. Today was the last day of training camp, fellas. It was kind of fast, didn't it? Like, it seemed like it flew by, right? Like, Grant's been driving back and forth.
I was about to say, I was waiting for Grant to be like, it don't seem quick to me.
12 practices in 15 days is
about dedication. Wow. I know the gas bill is crazy right now. Bro been filling up like every 2 or 3 days. It's crazy right now. So I kind of want to go over what happened on the day before today. And this is just a quick caveat. We're just going to go through it. This is what I could take, and this is all from Grant himself. Tavon Austin had a great day. He had 4 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. Solomon Thomas had 2 sacks. Kerry Hyder, he had a pretty damn good day. Jordan Reed balled out. He had 5 catches and a touchdown. Chase Harrell caught 6 passes and a touchdown. Pettis caught 3 passes for 37 yards. Mostert had 6 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. JaMychal Hasty, think he might make the team. Josh Hokett, he stood in there for juice, and I heard that he looked pretty good, man. We'll talk a little bit about that. Colton McKivitz is balling on that day. Armstead had a sack. Jamar Taylor had a PBU. Jarrett Maiden had a pick and a TFL. We'll talk about him today because he did some good stuff today also. Mosley had a PBU, hasn't given up one big play. Verrett looked pretty good playing at the nickel, and he had a PBU. Brunskill is ASS at playing center. I hope Garland is back, and I think he's back. I think he's going to be back. There's no way that they would let Brunskill play center, and we would have already brought somebody else back if he was going to be injured for the first game of the season. Okay. So with that being said, let's go to Grant. Grant, we're going to allow you to bring up the topic, and then Bronze, you go ahead and pick who you want to speak first, and thereafter, and then we can all say our spiel. Go ahead, Grant. You can bring up the topic about everything that happened today in training camp because that's the most important.
Okay, well, I want to focus on one thing. I mean, if you guys want to ask me about like backups and stuff, I can tell you. But what's most interesting usually is the starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. He had a very Jimmy day. I mean, he was accurate. Okay. He was good in the red zone. He threw 5 touchdown passes in the red zone, which he hadn't done earlier. So that was nice. He got the ball to Jeff Wilson Jr. in the red zone. They have a nice little rapport. They've had it through the air. Okay. But he threw a pick. All right. And so it's like, okay, he threw a pick. You're entitled. Jaquaski Tart held on for the first time in training camp. It was a pick 6. So after the day, we talked to Robert Saleh, and someone asked, from your perspective as a defensive coach, how has Jimmy changed or improved this offseason? And he was so specific. He was like, yeah, he is making quicker decisions this year. He's absolutely making quicker decisions and getting the ball out of his hand, which I thought was a really interesting thing to say, because when Saleh was talking about Kirk Cousins last year before they played him in the playoffs, he said Kirk Cousins always makes the right decision, always, like a computer. Now, Jimmy's a better football player than Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is a machine mentally. He's like a coach. What Saleh said about him is not that he's making the right decision, because he's not. He's throwing about a pick a day. He's making quicker decisions. So it's kind of like a backhanded compliment. It's an interesting thing to say, but it is important that he doesn't just hang back and hold on to the ball in the pocket. But I think ultimately what they want for him is better decisions, not just quicker decisions. That's what I'm seeing.
Jimmy
Okay.
G. Let me start real quick. I have not much to say, but it's okay. I don't fault him for doing interceptions, right? It's practice.
It's practice.
That's how you experiment.
Mhm.
It doesn't count. So he's just getting the flow of things. But yeah, I mean, I'm
right.
I'm liking how what he's doing like today, what you said.
Yeah.
I'm just
Plus
excited.
no Debo, no Ayuk, no Kittle. So
Yes.
he's working with guys. So you got to remember
Right.
that. But just
Exactly.
what I focused on was what Saleh's words, because Shanahan doesn't have the control of the English language that he has over X's and O's. Like, he's much more comfortable with X's and O's than nouns and verbs. Saleh can really explain exactly what he means. And he said real clearly today, like, faster decisions. It's like, okay, that's a step up from Jimmy Garoppolo. But to be a great decision maker, that's only 50% of it.
Nice.
It's 50. Yeah.
Nice. Dre, what you think?
I actually wrote this down because I had a feeling that Jimmy was going to come up. And they asked Jimmy in his press conference, and Jimmy said, I try not to focus on the good plays. I focus on the bad ones and how to make those ones better. Right.
Nice.
They asked him, which throws do you really like? And he said, the question kind of, rubbed him the wrong way. And he was like, I don't care about the good ones. I'm worried about the bad ones and making the bad ones good ones. Right. So I'm happy that Jimmy is in the correct mind state. And he's playing with a lot of veterans who are team-to-team guys who are kind of like journeymen. And he's playing with a lot of young guys. Right. And he's not playing with those guys who, he usually is playing with at this time of the year. So I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack, because I know when, it's the beginning of the game and they're warming up and they snap that ball and he gets on offense, he just makes plays. Jimmy Garoppolo is a winner. And I kind of, I definitely respect, what you're saying, Grant, because, if you're a franchise quarterback, you do have to be held to a higher standard, right? Like, I've been showing Jimmy a lot.
You got to be elite.
Yeah, you have to get to a higher standard, but I'm just happy that he's in the correct headspace, because he could have broke down every single good throw that he's had all camp, and I've seen some pretty damn good ones. Specifically, one that he threw to Dante Pettis, where it went over the linebacker's head and landed in between the linebacker and the free safety who was closing in on the ball, and it was a beautiful throw. But he didn't do that. He basically said, "I'll focus on the bad ones to try to make those ones better." So that's my take on that one.
Nice. Jason.
I think it's really good to hear that he's getting the ball out faster, especially if we're nervous that his right guard might be Tom Garland. I mean, not Tom Garland, Tom Compton.
Tom Compton, yeah.
Tom Compton. So good. I like that you're gonna get. Yes, I'm sorry. I miss you, Ben. I miss you, Ben. And I'm trying to you're on my mind. It was a Freudian slip. I miss you, Ben. But come on back. So if he's getting the ball out, that's better. So I think that what we've seen with Jimmy, and I think that we have a large enough sample size to say is that we kind of just have to take that there's going to be 1 or 2 throws per game that we're going to say, goodness, what was that? What were you looking at? Why throw it there? Why? And sometimes they'll come down with it. Sometimes they won't. But, everybody pretty much knows, and Grant, I heard you, say the same thing in one of your periscopes, is that the reason that we allow it to happen is because the next drive, Jimmy Garoppolo comes right back and he just settles it down. And I think what you said is really, I didn't know this, and I learned this from you, Grant, when you said this, that what Kyle does in practice, I want you to work on what you can't do. Do it.
Yeah.
Do that.
And once he sees a mistake, it's like, okay, we're going to do it. Like,
right.
I'm going to call the same type of play.
When you throw one of those bad picks, Kyle rips that page out of the book and just tosses it. And it's like, now we're not going back to that. And now let's go with what works.
Yeah, we'll fix that during the week, and now we're going to go back to the easy stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, I don't put too much stock into it. Again, if you're going to work on anything, it's time for it to be practiced. I am liking the idea that he is more decisive. That's something that I very much want to see, especially considering what we might have happen week 1. But yes, it's just we just have to get used to the fact that there's going to be those decisions that we're just like, I'm not certain what you saw there, you know. And but if he's being more decisive, that is an improvement, and I like that. Real quick,
the reason the deal with Jimmy, they're paying him to be a top 8 quarterback in the league. Correct? Fair? $27 million a year. You got to be top 8 at a certain point, and they're giving him time because they look at him as basically a second-year starter. But for him to be like top 12, top 13, and be a guy that you can't really trust to make the right decision in critical moments, he can't be that guy. He needs to get to another level, and I think he's close. I think they think he's close, but the next level is making better decisions, turning the ball over less frequently. If he can do that, then he'll be a no-doubter top 8 quarterback in the league. I know you're going to say he already is.
Can I let Trey have the floor? Go ahead, Trey.
I thought that he was top 5 in completions, touchdowns, percentage.
Now look at his face.
In third down completions. I thought that he was a top 10 quarterback. You see, this is the thing about bad throws, right? You know, who led the NFL last year? Who was number 1 and 2 in bad throw percentage last year? It was Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. But nobody talked about that. Nobody talks about that, right? It's just, oh my God, they're the greatest.
But they are, so.
Chris Sims ranked him 20th. I mean, the national media consensus for Jimmy Garoppolo is about the 15th best quarterback in the league, and that's a little harsh. But Chris Sims, who's Kyle Shanahan's best friend, ranked him, I think, 21st, 19th.
Yeah,
I mean, locally, people think of him as fringe top 10, like maybe.
How
maybe
good of a
top
quarterback
12.
is Chris Sims in the NFL? I was listening to Phil Sims. Phil Sims at least won Super Bowls, right? He rode the back of a.
If Chris Sims isn't qualified to rank quarterbacks, then neither are we.
You know, I wish there was a metric of certain situation, like the 4th and 2. You know, like with the Baltimore game when he threw that touchdown pass to Debo, or you know the Kittle pass in the Saints game. I mean, you gotta. I mean, you know, I know
he's good on third down.
Yes,
he's accurate.
Yeah.
Is he mobile? No. Does he make great decisions? Not yet. Does he have a big arm? No. Does he throw downfield a lot? Not really. Is he a good quarterback? Yes. Is he a top 15 quarterback? Absolutely. Is he a top 10? He's only had 1 full season of starting experience. I think we're going to know that. We're going to know that in about four months. This is year 2. I think he can absolutely establish himself as a top 8 quarterback. And if he does, then everyone's going to be happy with the contract, with him. I mean, there'll be really no more for him to answer. And I think what's interesting about it is all he has to do is commit like 5 fewer turnovers this year. And I'm talking fumbles too. Just commit just a little less because he's a hell of a football player.
Yeah.
He's got that it factor. Now just be a little more mature and experienced, and that comes with reps.
Right. For sure. And I agree with that too. Like, honestly, that was going to be my point is that, you know, yes, we can say right now confidently that Jimmy Garoppolo is a top 15 quarterback.
No doubt.
Have we seen his ceiling yet though?
No.
I don't think we have. And that's what you should be banking on right now. Like, and you should just be banking on, there has to be improvement this year. Like, it's not, and it just depends on how drastic. Are we going to
Salah? He says, look, I love his arm. He's got an amazing arm. We love the way he throws the ball. And I think they always have. What they want to see from him is better decision making. Because remember what Kyle loves. Kyle loves Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't the football player Jimmy Garoppolo is. Jimmy has a feel for the game that Kirk just doesn't have.
Right.
But Kirk's a machine. Kirk's coach. I mean, he's always right. And I think that's what Shanahan wanted from Matt Ryan. It's what he's expecting Jimmy Garoppolo to get to eventually. And it's not going to be quick for Jimmy. It's going to be a process, but I think he'll get there eventually. We'll see.
And then the other thing is that Jimmy has to improve because this year the 49ers are going to have to score more points.
No
or
question.
they're going to have to throw a lot more. Like, that's
especially week 1.
Right. Like week 1, what was my prediction? 31-27? That feels right. That feels right. Like, he's going to have to put up 31. Like, and there's going to be games where people are going to exclusively try to take away the run. Like, just completely stack the box and let him throw.
It could be week 1. That's
right.
what I would do. Isn't that what you would do? If you were a defensive coordinator, wouldn't that be your game plan? I'm not going to let him beat me on the ground.
No, and I would collapse all of my good guys over the interior O-line.
Yep. Going to make them throw outside. We're going to make them run outside, throw outside. Yep.
We'll see what happens. You could think you're gonna make Kyle Shanahan. You could your brain could make you think whatever you want.
You're right.
I'm not saying it's gonna work, but the Belichick approach is you got to take away their fastball. You got to take away what they do best and live with the results. So, make them beat you left-handed. And for the Niners, that's throwing. So if they beat you with Jimmy dropping back and throwing 50 times, you tip your cap.
That's not what Kyle wants to do, though. I don't like games where I don't like games when any quarterback has to throw 50. I don't like it when Jimmy has to throw 50. I would never
run the ball 40 times and have play action. If you can take the running game away, the play action game away, and make them a drop back passing game, that's the best you can ask.
Yeah,
that's the best you do.
Everybody will take their shot on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about since we're already talking about Kyle Shanahan, I already wrote this down. I have been racking my brain, basically trying to figure out how our offense is going to look like if possibly no Brandon Ayuk, no Debo, even though I heard Debo's looking really good when he's running. I think Debo's going to play week 1. That's just me, though. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just wishful thinking. You know what I mean? Like,
I was about to say.
And he said something in his press conference that really made me, open my eyes and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. He said, it's kind of tough running 21 personnel with only one fullback in training camp, especially if you only have one guy to do it. Josh Hogan will do it for the whole practice. And even though I know he was exhausted, he stood up and he continued to play. Showed me a lot. That lets me know right there, fellas. We're going to be running a lot of 21 personnel. It's going to look like the Vikings in the Green Bay game in the playoffs. People are going to try to stack the box, and I think we're just going to manhandle them, especially with Trent Williams. But let's not talk about that. Let's keep on with the caveat. All right. So basically, I want to hear from everybody on what you think the offense is going to look like, and if 21 personnel is going to be the answer. To you, Bronze, you pick the order. Who you want to talk about?
Let's go with Jason.
So 21 personnel, I mean, clearly they're going to run that. But here's the issue. It's like, okay, so what are the two tight ends going to be? Is it going to be Warner and is it going to be Kittle? Which kind of tip the hand that it could be a run more likely than anything, right? If Jordan Reed and Kittle are on the field, it might tip the hand that it might be a pass, but you could run to Kittle's direction and disguise that. I just don't want the 49ers to get into a predictable, look. Like if they're out there with just Warner and like, Warner and Kittle out there, then that I would bet 55-60% of the time that's probably a run. So I'm not certain how much they're going to really run that. And in the red zone, I just really like from everything that I've been reading, Jordan Reed is going to get his burn in the red zone and on third down. And that's all I thought that was always my case from the beginning. It's like, we don't need to put Jordan Reed in a space where we have to rely on him for everything. But if we can use him situationally and keep him fresh, goodness gracious, in the red zone, that's going to be hard to defend. And that's all they're thinking right now. So it depends on it. Again, the personnel isn't really going to tip it's going to be the people on the field. I feel like that will tip the play either way, one way or the other.
Bro, okay, I'm going to real quick. This is Kyle Shanahan we're talking about, man.
No, I know. Look, I get it.
He is the man.
I get
He's
it.
The king.
Everything, I get it.
Yes,
I get it.
yes.
But
he's not going to tip his hand straight up.
Warner is a little bit more of a blocker right now than he is a route runner at this point, right? And his reputation is like the best blocking tight end in college.
Hey, guess who Jimmy was throwing to today when he got picked?
Warner.
See, he's not a route runner. Sometimes he doesn't flatten routes correctly. He
can't get himself open.
Right, that's what I mean. So
Harold can, Dwelly can, Warner can. Warner can do other things.
He's a blocker. And I think that they want to use him. It's like Trey said. I think they want to use him in case anything happens to Juice. They can put him in that same spot and use him similarly. Where
I can do that though. It's been Hokett who's been.
Okay. Go right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, do you get the sense that because Kyle is going to be a free agent next year, that maybe they want to see what they have in this kid and see if they can duplicate what they got with Kyle for much cheaper?
I think they want to bring Kyle.
Let's get Grant's take on how he thinks the offense is going to.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, fair. I think it's going to look pretty much a lot like last year. A lot of 21 personnel. I think there's going to be more Mostert. I think they're going to give him more touches because you kind of need to see what he can do with more touches. No one's ever really shut him down. So they're going to get him involved more. And then Jordan Reed, just as Jason was saying, they're going to kind of use him as a slot receiver. I don't think he's going to be blocking much. I don't think he's going to be on the field much on first down. Just use Warner for that or whatever. But on third down, he's a better player than Trent Taylor. I mean, in the red zone, he's a better player than Kendrick Bourne.
He's right.
Just Jordan Reed.
Right, Trey. He's right, Trey.
Well, if you think about it, like on third down, everyone's worried about Kittle, or in the red zone, everyone's worried about Kittle. And Shanahan's thinking like, okay, well, I get Jordan Reed one-on-one against who you got. Like that's his secret weapon this year. So they're going to save him, keep him fresh, not have him block very much, but that's their new slot receiver. It's like what Jalen Hurd could have been. No, it's Jordan Reed now. Wow. So I think it's going to be, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be the number. I mean, it's going to be Kittle, Debo, him, and Ayuk. It's going to be a really nice quartet of targets for Jimmy Garoppolo. He really should have a good year, man. He should have a good year. There should be a lot of receivers open, and he shouldn't be locking in and throwing picks. He should be money this year.
Dre,
I'm so happy to hear that.
What you think, Dre?
I kind of agree. I basically agree with what both Jason and Grant said. Like, I think it's going to be a lot of the same type of formations, but I think the game plan is going to look drastically different. I think that everybody's going to come out and they're going to think that we're going to be trying to run the ball, and Kyle's going to say, "Nah,
Action time.
Nope. Yep.
Action time.
Grant. Yep.
Let me put Jet in there.
Hey, it's going to be crazy. And just being able to add Jerick McKinnon and Jordan Reed to this offense is really going to help. I really don't think people understand that. And everybody's worried about the offensive line, and I think Trent Williams makes our offensive line just that much better. Garland's going to be back before the season. Brunskill gets to slide back over to guard.
One thing real quick, I want to tell you, we're talking about we're going to see more deep passes this year. What I saw them do a lot in camp is practice deep throws to running backs, because Jimmy is just not that super comfortable throwing the deep pass down the field to wide receivers, but the wheel routes to Juszczyk, to McKinnon, to Hasty, I mean, every day. So that might be something to look for.
I have a question that I was gonna. I swear you just took the thought out of my mind. I had a question. Have you seen them line up McKinnon in the slot? Because I know he's been to linebackers. That's what I want to hear.
Not just the slot, wide. So you know that play where they'll line up Juszczyk out wide, and then he'll run the slant with blockers out in front. Yep. They'll run that with McKinnon now, and they'll do it in the red zone.
Oh, imagine that.
That's perfect.
So, it'll be great.
And then the wheel route that he's talking about, guys, like if you notice, like in the Seattle game in week 17, right when Seattle started punching right back, Kyle dipped right into the wheel route, and he put it right in Kyle's breadbasket, and that was when Kendricks tore his ACL right on that play.
Chase down Deuce.
If the number one wrinkle of last year was the end around, at least in training camp, the number one wrinkle has been the wheel route to the running backs, and because they're all fast, they're some of the fastest players in the team. They're faster than the wide receivers, really. They are.
That's awesome. Good stuff, man. I think this new format is working pretty good.
Yeah.
Grant, okay, so if anybody out there is watching Grant Cohn, you're subscribed to him, you know how horrible Dion Jordan is, right? This guy is so bad that he picked 2 fights in one practice because he was so frustrated that he just can't do nothing, right? And he won against, big name guys. These were guys who were also trying to make the team. Mm-hmm. I personally feel like we should have took a chance on Ziggy Ansah instead of Dion Jordan because he is a proven pass rusher in this league with Chris Kaserik. Now, we're going to go around in a circle. We're going to let Bronze do his thing, and he picks who he wants to go next. I think that we should have signed Ziggy Ansah because Dion Jordan is just clearly a body. And I think that having just the name Ziggy Ansah would do a lot better, coming on the field when D Ford is gone. But then again, we have Armstead who can play out there on base also. But I want to get everybody's opinion. What do you guys think? I'm going to kick it to Bronze.
All right, I'm going to say it real quick. If they didn't pick Ziggy Ansah, if Kasurik's there, if they didn't pick him, then he wasn't worth getting. That was the I don't want to say the lesser evil or whatever. Yeah, I mean they didn't have that much choice. They should have got Dante Moore. I mean DeAndre Moore. What's his name? Yes. Anyways, but yeah. So I mean they took the chance on Dion Jordan. I guess it looks like it's not panning out. Oh well. I don't want Clowney, but anyways, we'll go with Jason.
So I think it just shows confidence in what the 49ers think that they already have. All we've heard glowingly about is, Givens and Contavious Street's new, next step. These are all things that I've read. I think this is something that they feel like actually in that building. Somebody that I really wanted them to take a look at, but unfortunately he wound up signing back with the Giants was Marcus Golden. If you're talking about depth rusher, he has a little bit more upside than Ziggy Ansah does. I understand the whole, like, again, the whole familiarity thing. I think it's overplayed because, again, Tom Compton knows. I'm sorry to keep ripping on him, but I'm just saying Tom Compton knows Kyle Shanahan's, but it doesn't mean you're good. Like, you know, like, so Ziggy Ansah, there is something to it. Like, if he has that same relationship with Kasarik, there had to be something, Bron. So you're right. It's either they watched him work out and they were like, he still doesn't have it, or they know he's injured. Dion Jordan, unfortunately, like, when it comes to him, there's like we talked about, there's such a mental aspect to it. He just doesn't have it, right? Like, he imagine the problem is that when you go by, you know, high school, college, right, and you're dominating people just on your physical aspects, right, and you're used to just continually succeeding, when you get to this highest level and you realize that you're getting stopped, some guys can handle it and work with it. Some guys go to pieces, and I think that's what happened to Dion Jordan, man.
That's crazy. Dre.
No, go ahead.
We'll say
it's real quick. It's funny. You just described Javon Kinlaw. That's what you just described. We don't know how he's going to respond.
Don't do that, Grant. Don't do that, Grant.
We don't know how he's going to respond. He might be mentally tough, but what you just described it. Now, they play different positions, and he's not expected to be the pass rusher that Dion Jordan was expected. But I'm just saying. Okay, Dre, you're up. Sorry to do that to you. Look at his face. He's like, why would you? How? Sorry, my bad. My bad.
I might have lost him.
Sorry.
One thing I can say about Kinlaw is he got beat a couple of days, and then it sounded like he figured some things out, and he came in and he finally beat
better than Dion Jordan. I'm sure he's better.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. I basically said that I think that Ziggy Ansah probably still suffering from that neck injury.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why they probably got Dion Jordan. Besides for him, man, they did an MRI. He probably had a good workout. They did an MRI. They seen some stuff, and they wasn't comfortable with it. And we don't want to be paying a guy, you know, who's not going to be available to play. But I still say that Dion Jordan was just a waste of money and a waste of time. I really do.
None of it's guaranteed, right?
I don't think it is
I don't think
guaranteed.
it's guaranteed, but it's just like somebody else, somebody else could have been in there getting those reps. You know what I mean?
He makes no impact. I know the Niners want a speed rusher to back up D Ford because they feel like everyone's a power rusher and that speed kind of is a good complement to it. But Dakota Watson was a speed rusher. He didn't make an impact. I mean, I think Cassius Marsh is a more impactful player than Dion Jordan. So just because he has the physical athletic profile that you think you're looking for doesn't mean he can play for you. And from what I've seen on the field, like Kerry Hyder is a better player than Dion Jordan. So if they need to play a backup defensive end, they're going to be playing Kerry Hyder.
Bro, has he done anything? Like, has he made a tackle? Tackle loss? Has he made a D lineman just look stupid? I mean, he hasn't done nothing.
No, he's not a good football player. Dion Jordan. No, he might be the worst player on the field. It's between him or Tom Compton.
Oh God!
It's not just me. I'm not even there. He's watching. I'm sorry. Tom Compton's probably a nice guy. I'm not trying to make the team
He's
good.
like a nice guy.
No, don't pull up on me and don't DM me, Tom, because I don't want to fight and I don't want to I'm not with it. Hey, stranger things have happened, Grant.
It's nothing personal, Tom. You're in the NFL.
Yeah.
He made it somewhere. He made it somewhere that I couldn't make it to. So you know what I'm saying. I always have to remember that. Like, I'll talk crap about these guys, but they made it to somewhere I never made it. You know what I mean?
You're still one of the top, and you're still one of the top football players in the world if you're in the NFL.
That's
he
true.
Makes the team. If he's on the team on Friday, he gets $3.5 million. So he'll be cool. He'll be cool. It'll be a good year for Tom.
Yeah,
for a good old Tom.
So, it's the last day of training camp. I think that we should just run through some position groups instead of going through names, because it takes a little bit longer to just go name. Let's go through the position groups. We already heard what Jimmy G looked like today, so let's start with the running backs, and then we're just going to go down the line and let Grant do his thing, and then after he does his thing, we'll come in behind him. So Grant, let us know, what did the running backs look like tonight? Who popped out? Who didn't?
Your boy Sean just gave you a $5 tip, man. You got
what's up?
Going on. Okay,
hey, Sean.
Nice job,
thanks, man.
Thank you.
So Mostert played a little bit, but he got a little bit of like the rest treatment that Fred Warner and other guys seem to be getting. Jerick McKinnon and Tevin Coleman basically split reps with the starters. And what I'm seeing from from Tevin Coleman is he looks a little more explosive than last year. I think whatever injury he had week 1 was.
Is that a
down.
Tevin Coleman compliment from Grant?
It was.
Oh my God.
He looked good today. McKinnon is everyone's been praising him, and he does look pretty athletic. But every time he carries the ball, it seems like he gets stopped at the line of scrimmage. I'm not expecting him to run the ball very much this year. I think he'll catch passes. I think he'll have a role in the offense and be the kick returner. But I think Tevin Coleman's a better running. Like he's going to average more yards per carry than McKinnon. And then after them, it's going to come down to Hasty or Jeff Wilson Jr. And everyone likes Hasty. He's fun to watch. He's super athletic. He's small. He's got that little. He's not just a one-cut guy like everyone else on the team. He can make a bunch of cuts. But Jeff Wilson Jr. is good too. We've seen him in real games. He's a hell of a receiver. And he shows it every day. Today he caught 3 touchdown catches in the end zone.
What?
A swing route, a Texas route. He's really good. Got good hands, big target. So I wouldn't write him off. I think Wilson's done enough to stay on the team. And as much buzz as Hasty's generated locally with press, I don't think anyone would pick him up off waivers because no one's seen him in a preseason game. So I think he'll make the team soon, but I still think they'll put him on the practice squad to start. But it's a very, very strong unit, mostly because of Tevin Coleman.
Grant, hold on, Grant. I just wanted to add this. I don't want to cut you off. Salvin Ahmed was nowhere to be found, and Miami immediately scooped him. Right. I think if Hasty gets out, I'm afraid Hasty's going to get out there and someone's going to go ahead and bring him in.
Well, that doesn't mean Ahmed's going to make the 53-man roster.
No, it doesn't. But he'll get claimed. I think he'll get claimed.
They got it. Look, if they cut Jeff Wilson Jr., he'll get claimed too. So they got a decision to make.
Straight up. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, before we exit from the running backs to the fullbacks, we're gonna go in a circle. JaMychal Hasty or Fred or Jeffrey Wilson Jr. I'm going JaMychal Hasty.
I'm going with Wilson Jr.
Give me Wilson too. It's the goal line back in him. You know, like he's shown that like he's tough, like on those in the red zone, and I think that like you said, it's very underrated as a receiver. So I just and then again, it all boils down to who do you trust. Like if you had to throw them in a game right now, not seeing them in game speed, it's gonna be Wilson over Hasty probably.
Yeah, Wilson played for you and played for them in the Super Bowl. Hasty hasn't even played for them in a preseason game yet.
There you go.
It'd be tough. I mean, I would go with Wilson. The thing about Wilson, he's not only is he excellent in the red zone as a runner, he's excellent in the red zone as a receiver. He had the game-winning touchdown catch against the Cardinals on that little Texas route in the red zone.
Only snap of the game.
Yeah. So I like Jeff Wilson Jr., but I always root for players like him. The guy who's been on the practice squad and everyone wrote him off. So I like his story. So Jeff Wilson Jr.
Right. Nice.
Sorry, Trey.
Trey, you on mute, Trey.
You're on mute.
He put himself on mute. That's how much.
You're on mute.
Trey, you're on mute.
There you go.
It's all good, bro. Grant taught me really well. You have to have a different perspective.
We do.
You
might be right. You might be right.
And you know what? If you are, then
good. Yeah.
Call us out.
You made a good case.
No.
Most definitely. All right, so let's move to the fullbacks. We kind of heard a little bit about Josh Hawkett already. We know Juice is saving himself for the first game. He's going to be. I think everybody's going to be ready for the first game of the season. They just literally just shut everybody down, right? So
my hamstring hurts too.
I want to hear how Josh Hawkett really looks. Does he really look like a guy who could possibly come in that fullback position and then like the next 2 years and like be a really really good balance?
I think he could. I think I watched his tape from Fresno. I thought he had good tape, and I thought he was like a good runner. Like Juszczyk was a tight end at Harvard, and he's not that good of a running back, even in short yardage stuff. He's a great receiver. But I think this Hokett guy, he's a little bit smaller though. I think he's like 235. Seems like you can look at a rookie and be like, he doesn't really have an NFL body yet. Like School was that way last year. Brunskill was that way. But it just means they need a year or two in an NFL strength and conditioning program. I think he's quite promising, and it seems like they're definitely viewing him as a developmental fullback that I don't know if they're counting on him to start next year because I do think they'll bring back Juszczyk, but I think they're looking at someone who they could develop into a starter at some point.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So a developmental guy that we could look forward to that looks like he has
like a pet project, someone that they're not just going to give up on. I think they like him a lot.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the wide receivers. Let's talk about the wide receivers. I heard some things about Pettis today. I mean, just talk about the guys who had a pretty good day the last 2 days and what they look like today.
Well, Pettis had a solid camp. I mean, it was quiet. He played mostly with the backups. The Niners didn't put too much pressure on him. But when guys got hurt and he needed to step up, he basically did. I mean, today he had 5 catches. He let one bounce off his face today, which was embarrassing. He dropped one in the end zone, which is tough. But he bounced back. I've seen him go in the tank after days like that, almost like he was embarrassed to mess up in front of his coaches or teammates or media. A sign of maturity is to move on and not let that ruin your whole day, and he did that today.
That's good.
So that's encouraging. I don't think he'll start if they don't have other options, but I don't think they're asking that much of him this year. So I think maybe next year he could step up if he needs to. So far, Kendrick Bourne's been really good, but what they need Brandon Ayuk back because he was so explosive, and I think he's really the only wide receiver they have that could go 80 yards for a touchdown. Even Deebo Samuel's really good, but I think Ayuk is the kind of guy who could score from anywhere. He was making plays after the catch in camp where you don't really see stuff like that because it's two-hand touch. He's really tough to touch, to even get a hand on. So Ayuk was the one who stood out. They need him back as soon as possible.
What about Trent Taylor?
Trent Taylor's Trent Taylor. I mean, he got a bunch of catches last year before he went down and got a lot of hype. He's really good for his role. He's not Wes Welker, but he's a solid player. I think he'll probably end up being the starting punt returner. But again, I think Jordan Reed's going to eat into his playing time because his role is the third down guy. And now all of a sudden you got Jordan Reed who gets open just as well, but is 6'2". So there's him. The rookie Jawan Jennings really didn't do well. He dropped a lot of passes. He had mental mistakes where he wasn't looking for the ball when it came his way. I'm not sure he's done enough to necessarily make the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he got cut. He's right on the borderline. And then JJ Nelson's on IR. Travis Benjamin opted out. They keep getting back. They've been looking for a speed receiver and they don't have one. So I don't know if they'll get one eventually. I mean, who do they have? Kevin White. And Kevin White.
Oh yeah.
What about Kevin White?
Touchdown in the NFL. He hasn't scored one.
Well, look, today he ran a post route and was open and ran a fade route and was open. And both times CJ Beathard overthrew him. So he looks like he moves pretty well. He's big. He's fast. I'd like to see him play with Jimmy. I mean, I can't put that on him because Beathard missed him. He was open.
So what about Tavon Austin? I've been hearing sparsely that he's been making plays.
He had a touchdown catch 2 days ago at Levi's, but it was a busted coverage where Tim Harris Jr. had to cover 2 people and he picked the guy in the flat, which was a bad choice. But Tavon Austin, I think they give him the ball a lot on the gadget plays, end arounds, jet sweeps. They'll do that to him like every other practice. Today didn't get the ball. I don't know what that's about, but he could make the team. I mean, if JJ Nelson is out for the year, he really could make the team. And Jawan Jennings being on the bubble, maybe. Because he can help their running game. That jet sweep, say what you want about Tavon Austin. Everyone knows who he is, and I still think NFL players kind of react to him when he goes in motion. He's electric.
Yeah.
Most
Right.
He is.
Yeah, he's a threat. Yeah, you gotta account for him.
He's not Percy Harvin, but he kind of people react to him like he is.
Yeah, because
They
he's
use
one of those guys who could have 5 or 6 touchdowns in the season, and 2 of them would be off of special teams. You know what I mean? The other 3 would be on big plays on offense, where he literally gets in the game and he scores a 70-yard touchdown. I think that's the type of person that you need to come into the game.
What's interesting is Kevin White scored a touchdown today on an end around in the red zone.
Oh wow!
So it could be Tavon, it could be Kevin White. They want a speed receiver, and they haven't decided who it is. I think those 2 might be competing for the same spot. Maybe.
Real quick, I know Jason, you mentioned Kevin White in the last show. I thought Dre was like, nah. Is that what you said, Dre? You weren't feeling Kevin White if you picked him up, and then the next day we got him.
Let's state the obvious about Kevin White. He is an impressive human being to look at with his shirt off. Man, this guy is.
He really is. Even with his pads on, it's like, wow, yeah, it was definitely first. Right? Him and Dion Jordan, dude, both. It's like, oh yeah, I would take you first.
I saw Kevin White with his shirt off by a waterfall, and I was like, "Is this the Old Spice commercial?" Like,
what?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
But yeah, no. So a little bit too about the way. So a little bit about Tavon Austin and how I think that they may use him, right? So if you guys remember the second Arizona game, right? The 49ers get down. Right now Kyle's looking for a spark, right? And they call that toss back
James.
to Richie James, right? Exactly. Tavon Austin, I feel like will fill that Richie James role if he makes this team of that sort of play of we're gonna move everybody this way, just sneak him out, toss it back to him, and that ended up being like a 70-yard play. Tavon Austin is gonna be a gadget guy for us in that way, but if he makes the team. And I am really, really, really believing that Jennings is not going to make this team, unfortunately.
Look, Jennings gives you nothing in the running game, and it's a run-first team. And we've seen if a wide receiver can be a threat on end arounds and jet sweeps, gives them a leg up in this particular offense.
Yeah,
because they want to run the ball anyway. So Tavon Austin, he definitely fits. He has experience in the same kind of offense, which is the Rams. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the 6th or 7th receiver instead of Juwan Jennings.
Right.
Stinks. I really like Jennings.
Yeah. All right, good stuff, man. So let's move on.
I think they could get Jennings on the practice squad. Sorry, let's go.
I think so too. I think so too.
All right. Let's move on to the tight ends. What popped out today? Who didn't look so good, and who looked good today?
Well, I don't want to just dump on Charlie Warner. So here's what's going on. Kittle's out. Been out for like 3 practices, and they don't want to just throw Jordan Reed in there as the do everything tight end number 1 for obvious reasons.
Right.
For obvious reasons. So it's Werner. He's the starting tight end right now, and he's doing everything and getting targets, and he's not ready for that. So he's made some catches. He's led Jimmy Garoppolo into some picks. That's to be expected. He looks like he's a good blocker. It's hard to tell, man. They're not tackling, but what I can tell is that he might be this like the yokest dude on the team. Like he's like Nick Bosa. He's huge, super duper big. He looks like Vance McDonald, like that kind of physique. He's not fast like Vance McDonald, but he looks exactly like Vance McDonald with the legs. He's huge. I mean, he's like 2 Ross Dwellys. So I imagine he'll be a good blocker. And also, I want to see what he can do if you get him in a little bit of space. He might be tough to tackle. He looks like he'd be really hard to tackle. Chase Harrell gets open. That guy's not going to make the team. He'll be on the practice squad, but he's fast and he gets open. And he dropped a couple passes early, but he doesn't drop anymore. Watch for him. And then we talked about Jordan Reed. So I guess what's interesting is just the dichotomy between the 2 rookies. The one guy who's the Hulk but can't get open, and the other guy who's much sleeker and faster. And I don't know if he can block, but they're a nice tandem that could become, a 1-2 punch down the line. Although they're always going to have Kittle.
Who's the better route runner, Jordan Reed or George Kittle?
Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed's the best route runner on the team.
I'm not going to argue.
Jordan Reed. I think George even said that, or he was saying that.
I'm not going to argue.
He's learning from Jordan.
When we signed Jordan Reed, I took it upon myself to pour a glass of wine and go back and watch his dominant time in Washington. And my goodness, man, all that stuck out right into my mind was the Thanksgiving beatdown he put on Dallas. When Kirk Cousins was there, split out wide, cooking cornerbacks. Like,
hey, was that the you like that game?
No. That was a game at home. The Thanksgiving game, it was he was making plays down the sideline, one arming guys. Like he was just to be that good. I haven't seen George Kittle do all those things because they don't ask him to. But I think Jordan Reed, yes, I wouldn't shy away from saying that he's the best route runner on this team, probably.
I just watching him up close in one-on-one drills is like, you can't press him, right? You can't play off him. He's even if you have good coverage, he's still 6'2" and strong. And he's a problem.
He'll jump and get it. That's the thing that the 49ers don't have. I mean, I know that's not Jimmy's game, the contested catch game, but we don't have a guy like that to toss it up to see, like those 50-50 balls.
You could say it is Jimmy's game though, because he'll throw some risky passes. It'll help him to have a guy who can make that catch.
That's true. I mean, the interception that pops into my mind is I feel like he tried to throw that one in the first Rams game, and he just threw it to nobody. Remember when Debo was out there and he just threw it up, and I looked and I was like, I think he expected them to do something else, and he wanted to throw one of those balls up there like that.
Yep. And this season it'll be Jordan Reed, not Debo.
Shout out to Niner Drag. You got a question? What up, fellows? Will we have another All-Pro on the offensive line besides Trent?
McGlinchey eventually?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. See, it's like okay.
Tomlinson.
When you say all pro, like Trent Williams, that's hard because Trent Williams is like
he's like
1-on-1, and then there's like a big gap between guys.
There's another Trent Williams, so that's kind of hard to answer.
Right.
I do think that Mike McGlinchey does have a chance to make it this year. I think that he has a chance to make the Pro Bowl. I don't think
Laken Tomlinson,
Great run
man.
blocker. Great run blocker.
Yeah.
But
Pass.
I mean, how did the offensive line look today?
how did the offensive line look today? It looked fine. I mean, I'm saying in one-on-ones, he lost to Kerry Hyder. He's still a little mechanical and stiff in pass protection.
That's
He's
what
a
I'm
hell of a run blocker.
It looks like he's standing straight up almost. Like I'm just like I noticed that myself.
Yeah.
Did
He's a good fit in this offense.
Did Brunskill look to improve a little bit at center, or was he just horrible again today? On team drills, 11 on 11. I'm not even worried
He
about
was fine. He was fine on team drills. There were no bad snaps. The offense was pretty good. They scored 5 touchdowns in the red zone. He's trying. I mean, it's hard to knock him.
Right.
He spent the whole offseason learning right guard. He's never started at center, and they're like, hey, Daniel, we need you. He's like, okay, whatever you need, coach. But it's hard to ask him to be really good.
Right.
Most definitely.
I get scared that just because he can slide over there, it's going to take a little bit longer, and I don't want it to stunt his growth at right guard because that's where I want him sitting.
Yeah,
and you could argue that it may have. I mean, it's too bad. He could have had all these reps at right guard, and he didn't. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Grant, have you heard anything about Garland? With his
No, dude. The injury thing this year is crazy. Like usually, the first injury report comes out the week before the first preseason game, and there's 4 preseason games. So everyone knows every team's injury situation real well by the time the regular season comes around. This year, every team's like, well, we don't really have to tell you anything. So is he hurt? Is he not? I don't know. Not really. We're not going to tell you. So is Nick Bosa hurt? I don't know. Is Fred Warner hurt? No idea. We'll see, dude. It's going to be
crazy.
I've never seen anything like it, man. Because even in the lockout year in 2011, they had a full preseason. Yeah. This is I think the Niners look at the Cardinals and being like, well, they're not saying anything. We don't know if Hopkins isn't practicing. Is he hurt? They're not saying. So we're not going to say. Forget it.
Right. Yeah. I look at this like, so we would have a thing called, I'm not even going to say the word because I don't know what it's going to be like as far as monetization, but we'll have a thing called HELL week, right?
You can say that.
Oh, okay.
You can say that.
I didn't know. I'm trying to be safe.
If you can say it on cable before 6 p.m., you could, you know what I mean? It's all
okay. All right. So we had Hell Week, right? And we would do, it basically is 2 days. It was in Las Vegas. It's 110, 115 degree weather. It was tough, right? But when it came to, we were, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks away. Say if I was running and I felt a little pain in my back, or, I played quarterback. So if I felt any type of pain in my shoulder, they would hold me out. And I would just ride the bike and do conditioning, and I would not practice. And I really think that's what the 49ers are doing, just as a lot of other teams are doing right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Shanahan isn't throwing some curveballs with saying some guys are really hurt when they're really not. He's giving guys a reason to be able to sit out, because you just can't have a guy sit out. They still need to get their practice bonuses. So what they'll say is, okay, we're going to put him on the injury report, and, he's going to sit out, because when you don't have 90 players, these guys are getting a lot more reps than they usually would be, bro. Mm-hmm. Without 90 players, so say we started with 80, I believe, and then it went down to 79 because of what's the wide Benjamin. So that's literally probably an extra 10 to 15 reps for every guy. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot when you only had 8 days of practice before you got into pads. That's a lot. So I just think that it's more of, we're taking precautions, and guys are getting, shut down, and, we're going to put them on the injury report for some type of reason, just so we can be able to shut them down. That's what
It's just a mystery. I mean, I think there could be some players who aren't that hurt that are being shut down just for that reason, and other players who might be more hurt that they're not. It's impossible to know. We'll find out. The thing about it is, like, Fred Warner for your day. Like, if he was chilling there watching practice, then I'd be like, he's probably not that hurt. Like Nick Bosa. Every day that he hasn't been practicing, he's been there watching. So I'm like, he's probably fine. You see him walking around, no walking boot, no crutches. Warner not there. Like, I don't know. So he's probably fine too, but it would have been, at least I wish I could have seen him. It would have been more reassuring. But yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I think if something was serious, that's the kind of news that would leak. And like Ian Rappaport would say so.
Yeah. All right. So instead of going position group by position group, let's talk about the defense. What'd you see? What are you seeing? How are you feeling about the defense this year?
I feel like I haven't seen it. You know, like Eric Armstead missed the first week. Nick Bosa and D Ford missed the second week. DJ Jones missed half of it. K'Wan Williams isn't there. I feel like I haven't. What's that?
He's juggling footballs on the sideline.
He looks fine. He's going to show up week 1 and be fine. Right. But the defense hasn't been dominant.
It's weird, dude. It's weird, bro. It's so weird, bro.
It is weird. No, one thing to say real quick, though, is the coverages have been different. There's a lot more man coverage this year, and I think it's helping certain players like Tart. Tart was great in camp. He made like 6 or 7 pass breakups and finally picked one off today. I always felt that he was kind of a natural in man-to-man coverage, and putting him in zone was not working to his strengths. But so he seems to be more comfortable this year. That's one thing.
What about Verrett?
Verrett.
I heard Verrett ran.
He's good at man, right?
Miles per hour.
Was that?
I heard he ran 22.5 miles per hour in practice.
He did. Wow. Maybe. All I know is when he went up against Ayuk, he got burned, and that was early. But when he went up against Jordan Reed in the slot, he won and broke up the pass. And like I said, Jordan Reed's the toughest person to cover. I've never seen like Tart do that when they go up 1-on-1. So for Verrett to do that, I think he may have a future at nickel. Now he's had so many injuries, they may feel if he needs to be at nickel and like be involved in tackling that he'll break down. But I just feel like maybe he ran 22 miles an hour, but what I saw is when he has to turn and run and accelerate, he's not kicking it into gear that he had 4 or 5 years ago. But maybe he can now. Maybe he was just going easy on himself early in camp.
Okay. All right.
I think he could do nickel. I think he could do it.
But it seems like most of our starters are in bubble wrap, just like what Jason said the other day. We're wrapping them in bubble wrap.
Get them to game 1, and I think that a lot of this has to do with what you guys said about playing things close to the chest. Like right now, the Cardinals, Hopkins isn't practicing, Kenyon Drake's in a walking boot, and I think that they're going to play coy the entire week, and I don't think that anybody's going to be upfront with anything. And if Kyle Shanahan wants to embrace his inner Belichick, I'm all here for it. You shouldn't be out here telling people, as long as you're not breaking any NFL rules, like this is going to be the strangest year ever, and you might have to change up the way that you start giving your information away.
And I think both teams look at week 1 as a must-win game. I don't think the Niners feel like they can give that away and be loose with their information or hold people out who are ready to go. I think if Debo's ready, they're going to play him. Yeah. Same with Ayuk. They need to win that game.
Right. And there's already this fear, I feel like, from the building of Arizona, whether they want to say it or not. Whether they want to say it or not, they already know that these games are going to be wars. And if we give one of these away this year, then that's going to signify how much closer they really are getting to us. And I'm telling you guys, I'm scared of them. I'm still scared of them. This game's going to be a dogfight this first game. One, because of the sloppiness and nobody else being able to run in game speed and things like that. It's going to make this game super unpredictable, honestly. So I feel like the 49ers are the better team and they'll find a way to pull it out. But that's why I have it like 31-27. There's going to be some crazy.
Both Cardinals games went down to the end last year. So, yeah.
That's what I mean.
I'm feeling like Tong Po on Blood Sport.
That's a great movie. I watched that for the first time like last month. Hey, what's up with all the splits in that movie though? Van Damme is constantly doing the splits, dude.
Van Damme
was flexible. Yeah, he was just
bro. Really started smoking crack and breaking into people's houses. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Crack will do that to you. Crack will get you.
Oh man, Greg, real quick. I got a question. I got a question for Grant.
The rails here.
How is our offensive line as far as in sync? I'm afraid I just don't want to see a lot of like false starts and just dumb penalties.
Like right side is tripping because you don't got no Brunskill right there.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is Compton? I think he's going to start week 1. I think he's going to win that competition by default. And, he'll be next to McGlinchey. Hopefully he'll be next to Ben Garland as well. But I think the Niners are going to have to learn the hard way with Tom Compton. So that's one concern for week 1.
Okay, I have a question.
Look at Chase.
Even if Ben Garland comes back, you think they're still going to start Compton over Brunskill at right guard?
Because Brunskill hasn't been prepped. I mean, Tom Compton got all the reps this year.
That's exactly not all of them. What I was scared of.
McKivitz got some of them. McKivitz got some, and they were pretty much splitting them because they realized they can't just hand the job to Compton. He hasn't earned it. But today, McKivitz was playing center with the second team. So it's like, it doesn't really seem like they're prepping him for a a starting role. It's going to be Compton.
Oh.
Look at his face. Man. I'm so sorry.
I'm afraid. And just how we look, do not downplay this. Just how we talked about it, like a must-win game. Even if this one game Tom Compton gives away because of his pass protection, that's not good, guys. This was my initial fear. Just because someone knows your system doesn't mean he should be playing. God,
I'm getting Pearson flashbacks right now.
And you know, just because they won with some backups last year, Brunskill, I really feel like Person was a better player than what Compton has shown so far. But to be fair, well, Compton's been in the league a long time. I'm saying let's see him in a real game. We've seen him in real games. It's a potential problem. But I mean, if your biggest weakness is right guard, you're still a really good team.
So what would you? So if we're talking about game plan, let's get into the Arizona game plan, right?
Okay,
put everybody over Tom Compton and bull rush him
all day. Jordan, they just paid what $30 million for Jordan Phillips. I mean, I'm going to get that matchup on every.
Goodness gracious! And I'm glad that I'm hearing that Jimmy's being decisive. Then that's exactly.
Also, I'm going to do stunts on that side. I'm going to see if McGlinchey and Tom Compton can pick up a stunt. I want Chandler Jones looping into Compton. Oh yeah,
He can scheme that up though. If that's the weakest link, I mean, I'm sure he's going to.
So the Niners are going to have to keep Kittle in the backfield, as an extra blocker, and that takes away one of your guys. But still, I mean, the Niners have a lot of ways. I'm not picking the Cardinals to win this game. It's going to be a game, but I'm going to pick the Niners they should win this game even without Mike Person. You got to call him up, man, Mike. What's it going to take? I didn't get Josh Garnett.
I think
shoot!
I think the same way that they did Brunskill to play center, they're gonna say, okay, Brunskill, just go to right guard, go to where you're supposed to be. I don't think it's gonna be like, hey, preparation and all of that. No,
it's a fair point. Brunskill with no prep may be a better right guard than Tom Compton with all the practice in the world.
He didn't prep himself to start at right and left tackle last year.
Good point, dude. That's a really good point.
You remember what happened with School? School was balling out, and he had one bad play, and Kyle set him down. You didn't hear nothing from that side for the rest of the game. Not a penalty, not a sack, not a nothing.
Dre's absolutely right. So you're right. So what I think is going to happen is Compton will get the start, but probably since Shanahan, he's no dummy, he'll give him a short leash. And if Compton gives up a sack or two in the first half, then you're done, and we'll see what Brunskill can do. So I think that's how it'll go.
Okay.
And we've definitely seen him do that. Like, they played Jason Verrett last year out of necessity. Once he got burned, they were like, all right, he's got to go. Khalil Witherspoon, the same thing. Like, I like the idea that these guys aren't just like tied to he's starting and that's it, or he's playing. If a guy needs to get benched, I like that move. But it's just provided you can have somebody who can just jump right into a game and automatically be asked to contribute. Because if I see a cornerback coming in for another team and I see a switch, I'm going right at him. That's the first person I'm going at.
And I think the Niners are trying to not overreact to training camp. They're trying to take the big picture view and be like, well, Compton has experience. He started a lot of games. Do we really feel comfortable throwing out Brunskill, who only has 2 career starts at right guard? That's probably how they're thinking. But you got to react to the evidence that's in front of you. And you've seen it for 2 weeks. If Compton keeps playing like this, they got to make a quick switch.
Yeah. All right, let's go in a circle. Best position group on defense. Mine's the linebackers.
Yeah. You picked the easy one, yeah.
Golly. Oh, I'm just gonna say defense. The pass rushers.
Okay, I'll take secondary. Just so we have something else to say. What are we all going to say? Linebackers?
Dude, it's the D line. I mean, it's where they put all
I know the D line. Hey, okay. I got one question. How is Quan and Fred? Quan and Fred, right? I think they're top 5 linebacker tandem in the NFL. That's just me.
5?
Every top 5. You name
Quan
it.
needs to stay healthy, man. That's 2 years in a row he's missed half a season. He needs to stay healthy.
Bro.
Yeah. When healthy, he's very good.
You heard him in his press conference. He said he tore his pectoral. He said, "I'd do anything I had to do to get back on the." Then tore his bicep and still kept playing. They just don't make him like that no more. That's the dude I want on my team. That's the guy that's the guy I want. That's the guy
He's
I
a good
want.
player, man. It just things keep popping on him. I feel bad. He's still
Hey,
young,
so-
though. I think he's younger than Reuben Foster. I think he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
he was like 22, 23. So, but how does him and Fred look as a tandem?
Oh, well, Fred looks amazing, and Quan looks terrific too. They look really good. Dre Greenlaw looks good. Quan Alexander is fun to watch in coverage, especially zone coverage. He's kind of like Fred, kind of like Richard Sherman, where they can read the play and break early. And it almost looks like they're freelancing, but they're just a step ahead. So it's fun to watch that. He's a good player. He just torn ACL in 2018, torn pec last year. He plays very hard. He throws his body around. See how long he lasts. Linebackers a little bit like running backs. You know, the shelf life isn't super long, but he's still young.
How does Mitch Wisnowski and Robbie Gold look? Because the kickers ain't got no love.
What?
Dude, I still can't believe that they drafted a 28-year-old punter. I still cannot believe it.
Grant, do not
he
get
can
me
pancake.
Started. Don't get me started. You already started me with the Compton thing. Let's not get into the whole Wisnowski draft.
Yeah, we shouldn't even go to Wisnowski.
No, I'm gonna
He can pancake though.
He hasn't done anything bad. I'll leave him alone.
He's a
but
tough-ass punter. I love him.
I don't get it. But Robbie seems like he's actually doing. Like, last year was a strange off year for him.
Yeah, he held out. He had the injury.
It was different.
That being said, there were different holders and long snappers, and you could chalk it up to that. He looks fine. He looks good.
Okay.
Good. He's getting paid a lot of money, so good.
Yeah. He's off for that. Yeah.
Hey,
Dre knows how to get under my skin. That's why he said that. Because I think there was one time.
How's Mitch looking?
What? Mitch Wisnowski looking? Get out of here.
I love how people are always talking about his touchbacks and his hang time. Like, he's the master of like the 40-yard punt that doesn't get returned. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to return it because he's punting it 40 yards. But
what was it that you said? Line him up at linebacker. He's our new Chris Borland. That's what you said, Dre. I'm like, oh my God.
Bro, when I seen him get 2 personal foul penalties for laying runners out, I said, I like him. I like him. I'm sorry.
I always scout my punters based on their tackling ability.
Nobody
Nobody
ever run a punt back on us. Not with Mitch back there. Not with.
They should put Fred Warner at punter because he can hit, man. No, I'm just playing.
Hey, I mean, whatever at this point, right? Waste what is it? What is it? 3rd round pick, 4th round pick?
Fourth, whatever.
Oh,
It was a 4.
It was a 4.
Yeah, bro. So I mean, that's pretty much like all of the content that I have written down. You know,
I got a question.
What's up, bro?
Oh, go ahead, bro.
Okay. All right. Grant, you've been there all training camp, man. Give me your best, your standout for offense and defense.
Ooh, standout for offense and defense. Okay, all right. Well, I'm not gonna say Jordan Reed because he practiced like 3 days. I gotta say Trent Williams. I mean, I'd never seen him in person before.
Yeah.
His battles with Nick Bosa were epic, and he won like 90% of them. And then his battles against everyone else were like comic, like hilarious.
Right. Crazy.
It's like watching a grown man go against his 8-year-old son, like slapping him in the face, pushing him around. It's like too easy. So that was kind of cool to see. I've never seen someone that dominant in a training camp since young Alden Smith. Young Alden Smith pushed around Joe Staley. That was amazing.
Oh,
hey, happy birthday, Joe.
Yeah, happy birthday, Joe.
Yeah.
Nothing against Joe. Young Alden was amazing. And nothing against Nick Bosa, but Alden was that guy. Yeah. So it was cool to see Trent Williams. And if you go back, they played against each other, and Alden Smith gave him problems. But that was like 45 years ago.
Hey.
Anyway, on defense, I've been saying it a lot, but Fred Warner looks like a totally different dude. He looks really big. And when they first got him, he was like a nickelback / outside linebacker.
Right.
Now he looks like, I don't know. I mean, he looks like way bigger than Quan Alexander. He looks like 245. He hits really hard. And I've been telling you, like, every time he hits Raheem Mostert's like, we're the same team. That hurts. What are you doing? It's like Fred Warner is serious. I want to see what he does to other teams. I want to see.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, he's popping people left and right. I mean, Tavon Austin, I think he was like the first one out in the news. Like, he popped them.
And Mostert got that. Wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like the roughest guy on the field. And he
hey,
that way.
Hey, Trey. Here, let me ask Grant, Dre, listen, has Raheem Mostert proven himself as the best back on this team?
We already know what Grant's gonna say.
He's asking you.
Oh, well, no. I want Dre to listen to your answer.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, he has. He is. Yes,
I'm glad we cleared that up.
And I think they acknowledge it too.
Anybody else who cried when they got hit? Why
He didn't cry when he got hit.
He's not crying. He's just feeling it and saying, "Yo, I don't like that. I
Chill
don't
out.
like that at all."
We practice it, man.
Chill out. I
So,
just got paid.
any other running back who did that? No.
Man.
That I love Mostert. Is just if you do what he did, you demand a trade, you go into the
I don't
office.
love Mostert. You don't.
You don't love
Talking
me.
about,
Huh?
Love Mostert. You don't.
I do love Mostert, right? But I do love Mostert, bro, especially when he does what he does for this team. I'm a team guy before I'm a player guy. I like the name of this organization, not the names on the back of the jersey, right? So
Right.
I'm a team guy, right? I'm the guy who always wants the team to win, even when it comes to contracts. That'll always be me as a 49er fan, right? I'm just for the team, okay? But when you kick in the office door to John Lynch's office and you go, I want more money or I want to trade, and you crying in practice about getting hit, my brother, I can't respect that. You looking real suckerish. You looking like a
He's
sucker.
not crying. I wouldn't describe it as crying. It's like just getting
So what
back
is
in the guy's face. I mean, like if you're gonna hit me that hard, then I'm gonna get right back in your face because
Right.
it's a little. It's not over the line.
Return the
Trey
favor
Warner
with your
is the-
pads during the play. Don't do it. Don't talk after the play, bro. Return the favor with your pads. That's what I want. That's what I want. I don't want you. No talking. Stop doing this and return the favor with your pads, bro. How about that?
I love how he said, but I love Raheem Mostert. I love him. Raheem Mostert. He's my guy. I love him. I love him, dude. Okay, all right. I feel you. All right.
Oh man, I'm glad you pointed that out because his rant on Mostert was passionate that day.
Every time he talks about Mostert, he's like, "Yo, I gotta say something about Mostert. I didn't like it." It's like, okay.
Sit your bitch ass down. I remember that.
all the way in too. I was just like, I was sitting there like, oh.
Man. Okay.
Oh,
I guess that's pretty much
See,
it.
Mostert. All right. So Jimmy G is my Mostert, and Mostert is Grant's Jimmy G. Right.
That's
Like
right.
I always want people to
Proven.
and
He's
Mostert
shown enough. Yeah, same thing with Jimmy. He's not proven. He hasn't shown enough. That's fair.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh, great.
Hey, Grant. Jason Aponte has a podcast. He has like a hip hop podcast.
Oh, you do?
And he wanted to talk about.
Great, yeah. So I'm glad that Bronze brought it up though. I didn't know when I would bring it up to you, but so let me give you a little bit of back story. So the first time that I ever saw one of your controversial takes on Twitter had to do with hip hop and not the 49ers.
Which one?
I think it had something to do. And remember, look, Dre, you helped me out here too because you guys are Cali boys.
I think it was Matt Gray.
I didn't do Matt Gray and E40.
Okay.
I understand the cultural significance of both of them because I did the history. I don't live in that area, right? So I don't have the same sort of insight that you guys have when it comes to that. But your take on it sparked a lot of people, going like, and I was just like, so I'm like, that's the first time I got my toes. And then, I'm like, oh, he's a 49ers writer. But like it came across and people were like going crazy about this. Yeah. And that's sort of
pissed too. He's like, how are you going to say that about E40, man?
Right. So my podcast is basically like that too. Like where we talk about the newer stuff, but we talk historical. Like we go back and we review older albums and things like that. I was just trying to see if I can get you to get some hip hop takes, and then me and you we'll talk about that. But I was super intrigued by that because I was like, he was like out here with his flag planted. Everybody has varying opinions when it comes to that, and that's what my show is about, basically. So.
Oh man, I would love it. That sounds hella fun. I don't share my music opinions as much because I feel like music's more to enjoy, but I have a lot of them, so let's do it. I'm down.
Yeah, let me know. Like I'll shoot you a DM. We'll wrap it up. I know the season's gonna be crazy, but yeah, man, let me know.
Hey, training camp's over. I'm gonna be at home most of the time, so let's do it, man.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? This week's our 20th episode, and we're gonna try to do something a little bit extra. And Thursday night, I think we're. You know what? I'll shoot you a DM, Grant. We'll talk.
Sounds good. Thursday.
Perfect.
Good stuff. Hey, man. As usual, it was a really good show. I think the new format worked pretty good. Everybody got a chance to say their spiel. We seeing a lot of people, asking, basically wanting to hear Bronze more. And I wanted to change that narrative because people don't understand what his input is on this show. And so I'm happy that
it's not much compared to these guys. You guys throwing some bombs, some fire. And I'm
No,
just
you
got up. I'm like,
day, dude. You made a whole thing work. You
Correct.
delegated. It was great. It was very well organized. It was the
Yeah.
best show we've done yet. Really good
The
one.
glue. The glue.
Yeah, no doubt.
yes, cool.
The straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah.
100%.
Stir the pot.
Yeah, so if nobody else has anything else, bro, I mean, we could call it a night and
Yeah, man.
we convene
I'm
on
gonna
the
be
next
asleep in
show.
like an hour and a half. But send me that video so I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Real quick. Okay, so last day training camp. What can we expect for the rest coming up to the start of the first game?
What can we expect coming up at the start of the first game?
Yeah, I mean they're gonna be practicing. After
okay.
that, and
Yeah. So the next few days, I think they're not going to be game planning until next week because cut downs are Friday. And I think you guys would agree it would probably be a mistake to introduce the game plan to 27 people or whatever so that aren't going to make your team. Because the Cardinals definitely would sign one of those guys just to get the intel and then cut them at the end of the day.
Seahawks also.
Yeah. So it's still evaluation week, then it's cut down day, and then it's a week to get prepared for the Cardinals. Although I'm sure the game plan exists already. Right. It's just top secret.
So we'll just see them running like practices, and they'll just continue to evaluate players, and then we'll just know by Friday, right? Yes. Yeah. They're practicing tomorrow?
Yeah, but I'm not no media invited. We can watch them
the week
stretch with no practice.
Oh.
It's over.
Yeah. Not available.
They have to let you watch 12 practices a year. That was 12.
Wow.
You know, Bill Walsh and like back in the 80s and 90s, every practice was open. Like the media was invited to watch, but now I guess they feel that like, I don't know, that we like watch too much film or we're too smart or I don't know. They just don't like to give us the access. But back in the day, you could watch.
Go ahead. Is there a personal grudge going on between the organization and you, Grant? Because I have noticed, bro, you ain't getting much media coverage or question. Because last year during training camp, like I would hear your voice. Every person that they interviewed, I would hear you asking a question. This year, a fair question. It's far and few between.
What happened last year is you'd walk off the practice field to the interview room, do the interviews, and then start writing. But this year they're just doing it on Zoom. So I've been like cheating and writing early because I want to get the good and the not so good up fast. So I've been not asking as many questions. But I'm glad that you called me out. I need to ask questions too. And from now on, you're right.
Yeah, I'm wondering like, did George?
I'm getting like 1,400 words out. No. It's all good.
All right.
The good and not so good is fire, man. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I mean, I see the viewership. I was like,
I ain't gonna lie. That's where I get my notes from.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I'm trying to get it out before anyone else gets their practice report out. So while they're listening to the interviews, I'm like, I'm writing.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be fair, guys, if you guys don't know, Grant's one of the few beat writers that actually watches the film. I feel like, you know, like I think there's a lot of the guys that like, you know, they watch the games and stuff and they can write what they see in the games, but I don't think they go back and necessarily watch. Not all of them. I don't think.
There are some beat writers around the country that do that. I wasn't the first.
I meant for the 49ers.
I agree. And I think if you're a serious beat writer, that's your homework. You got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to.
That's content.
Have you seen that clown? I ain't even gonna say his name, but you know what I'm talking about. That other writer who's talking stuff.
He's there every day, and he gives me a smile and a hello, and it's like it's nothing. Hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, Grant, how you doing?
Exactly, dude.
The thing I don't like about that is it's like you say something that is clearly about you.
Yes.
Like not even like it can't even be like misconstrued, right? And then it's just like, oh, and then the update tweet. Oh yeah, that this isn't about what?
Whatever. It's just that like they're not they're your coworkers, but you don't even work for the same organization. I mean, they're not your friend. They're not your coworker. They're really your competitors. So all that like nicey fake stuff is like, you know, just leave me alone, man. Let me just stand over here and beat your ass.
Right.
Sorry. I think you can say that though. You can say that.
All right. You good. All right, bro. With that being said,
yes.
As professionally.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's how we get down on Niners all day.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna raw.
Jason, me and you next week.
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna send you a DM. I got you for sure.
Hey, Jason, bro, plug your hip hop podcast right now so people know.
Yeah, so the pod is called the Potent Podcast. It's me and my good friend Trills. We're both from Jersey. We give you guys no trash hip hop takes. I guarantee you that if you guys think that I'm up on football, I'm just as up on hip hop, and it kind of goes hand in hand. So the Porn Podcast is everywhere, available on all platforms, YouTube, everything. If we can get Grant on Thursday, we were gonna make it a bigger show because I can't believe we got to 20. It sounds like we got something going. Like I think what we're gonna do, and especially because if you're gonna be on, it's gonna be unpopular takes. You're unpopular.
I love that.
Yeah, you're unpopular. Yeah, okay, good. I'm super excited. Grant, I'm gonna hit you, man. I got you.
Nice.
All right, bro. All right,
Trey,
bro.
hit me up with that video.
I got you, bro. We're gonna
got
download the XP.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right, man. We out.
All right, bro.
All right.
We out.
Peace.
Hey.
Peace.